Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this week's live trading session along with a trade review session. So it's been another good week. I'm very grateful for that, obviously. Sometimes you do have to question though how long it will continue. Got caught the wrong side of a couple of gold trades yesterday. I've closed one of those today as the market's fallen and still have the other trade open, which is it's not quite break even. It's been fairly close to break even today. It's popped up a little bit in the last few minutes. Currently trading around 18.25 and a half. But hopefully I'll be able to unwind that, or I probably will unwind that by the end of the day and not carry any exposure over the weekend. It's been a mixed week, I suppose is the best way to describe it. The tech earnings have come throughout the course of the week. Largely they've beaten expectations. But the guidance going forward, a deceleration in terms of the sales, and some not really profit warnings, but some warnings as to what the second quarter of the year or second half of the year is going to look like, has left markets a little bit fragile as they trade up towards 35,000, and we're currently 34,892 in Dow futures. But each time we head above 35,000, we do sell off. One word of caution on the back of that statement. Obviously, coming into the last day of trading for the month, the last day of trading for the week, there is every chance that you could see a late push up to new record levels. There are some earnings that are due out. There isn't anything else substantial that's going to come out from the markets over the next period, or over the remainder of today at least. But just with the way that the markets have traded this week, I want to be reasonably flat, reasonably quickly this afternoon, and then just ride out the remainder of the week. As you can see when I bring up the results, and we'll talk about these again in a few minutes, up over 1,000. So I have two trades open. I have a gold trade left open still from yesterday. I took 75 pips of a hit on the first gold trade from yesterday earlier, and I've just in the last couple of minutes put on a DAX trade as well. But we'll talk about those in a little bit more detail in a few minutes. Just in relation to the open, I have a sell limit just above the market there, about 34,925 I think it was. Let me just bring so 924, 925. Just looking to see if we get a lift straight from the open. It's above the levels that we've traded pretty much throughout the day, apart from very early this morning. We've traded up towards those sort of levels. As I said, each time we head up, even to 35,000 in the cash, there is some resistance coming in. If we look at this on a daily chart, you'll see what I mean. We're getting quite congested up there above these levels, and as I wrote on a comment that I tweeted out or posted earlier today, 35,000 could very well be the limit for this market for the foreseeable future, and maybe we'll get that correction that a lot of people have been looking for to enable people to get back into this market. So, you can just see that degree of congestion that we're running into, and resistance up around the 35,000 level. The key question, I suppose, that we have to keep asking ourselves is how aggressive we want to be around entry points, whether we can wait until we trade above 35,000 and sell, or whether it's just getting your stop nicely above those sort of levels so that you keep the trade reasonably safe. I've just sold DAX prior to the start of this afternoon session. One of the reasons, I'll just put some definition onto this chart, very small gap there first thing this morning. We've traded back, we traded off quite aggressively this morning, down to about 420, 15,420. We're back up at 15,538. What I would normally be looking to see is an attempt to close this gap, and the ideal situation for me would have been to sell as the gap closed, then looking for a reversal from that point. We've just struggled, and we've been a lot lower, and I can't see the Dow running away with itself too close to the opening bell. So I've just gone short the DAX. It often looks for affirmation from the Dow in terms of whether the moves that we've seen during the European session are genuine or not. So hopefully what I might be able to do is to take 15 to 20 pips around the opening bell and take advantage of that. But the reason for the trade and the rationale for the trade, if you like, was I was looking for a closing of this gap. We just seem to be falling short. So I think we sell off in the early part of the afternoon session. So Dow currently pushing up to 34,900. So the cash is fairly close to 35,000 as we head towards the opening bell. Gold has had a bit of a move lower, as I've mentioned already, which has allowed me to close one of the gold trades. And had it not been such a good week, psychologically you have to look at some of this stuff and think, okay, I've been lucky that we've pulled back. Yesterday we were trading at 1833 almost. I had a stop in at 1835. 100 pips better off today, or even slightly better than that. I'd be silly if I didn't take advantage of that fall away. Yes, I took a loss on the trade, but sometimes you need to be a little bit defensive, and that also allows me to run the second gold trade a little bit longer and see if I can take a tiny bit of profit out of it. But with over 1,000 pips for the week, it would be silly to run those trades too hard or too long, and see a substantial amount fall off of the back of that. So just before we start, or before we get into where the Dow is going to go, as I've said already, there was or there is a limit order above the market. We'll see whether that gets taken. As usual, I'm not too keen on getting long the market at this point. But if we do see a significant sell-off, there's a chance that may happen. Just gold, they're back down towards 1824. Obviously, the trade that I have on is around 1821. But we'll just open up now. We've got about 40 seconds or so to go to the opening bell in New York, and let's just take this back down to a 1 minute chart and see if we can move up and trigger that that limit order that I have above the market. One of the questions that came in from somebody last week, maybe during the week, was where am I looking for these limit orders and how do I set them? I can go through that in a bit more detail when we have a bit more time on another session. So we've taken off a little bit there, back down to about 84, 85. Market's open. So we just see how these first set of orders match up, see if we get a fill. But there is a little bit of strength back up there to 34,900. So the cash is definitely opening up above 35,000. And there will be attempts to hold above those levels and push above those levels. We're just missing out on our order slightly at the moment. But close enough. I think it should get a fill. In saying that, we've missed by a couple of pips so far, and we're back down towards 34,900. But we are only in the down there to 34,880. Would have been nice had that triggered, or had it been set just a little bit lower. Would have been a nice 30 pips there reasonably quickly on the opening bell. But we've still got some buyers there coming through at the moment. Might push up to where we're set. Equally so, it could well push through. You know, had that initial movement. And drops again down to 34,880. Okay, so I think what I might do is I might start with the trade review. Just have a look at this DAX trade that I had on. So the DAX has actually picked up whilst the Dow has traded off just a touch. Dow's picking up again. Okay, let's move on to, I'll leave the order there just for the length of this session. If it doesn't trigger, it doesn't trigger. And we'll look at the trade review session. So there's a couple of things that I wanted to talk about just in relation to the trades that were taken this week. So I coloured these in brown, and I'll take them off as I go through them. So again, you know, very high success rate again this week. A few more trades than usual, 53 currently in total. So the Dow trade did activate, it's just activated there. But we'll continue with the trade review session. I'll just flick in and out of the Dow just to see whether it's running away with us. It's not at this point. So the first Dow trade there that I wanted to talk about in brown, I'll just take the colour off now. So it's this trade I'm talking about here. There were opportunities to take profit very early yesterday morning, traded down to about 34,885. So the best part of 40 pips worth of profit. I didn't take it and was kicking myself for the remainder of the day really. And the trade could have been repeated, and I've mentioned this so many times in the past that hopefully you might start to believe me, but there were opportunities to repeat that trade. I didn't do that, didn't take the profit early in the morning, and unfortunately that's to my detriment for the majority of the day. But thankfully overnight we went down, took out my TP level, and there were 58 pips worth of profit there. The last two trades I did yesterday were a paired trade, so I sold the Dow and gold at the same time. Just really looking for one of them to move significantly to the downside. Both were trading reasonably close to their highs of the day. At that particular point, gold at 1831.5, and the Dow back above, or Dow futures back above 35,000. So what I was looking for, it didn't happen. But what I was looking for was a big sell-off in one or other of the products. Didn't really mind which one of them it was, as long as it was a big sell-off in one of them. The ideal situation would have been a sell-off in both of them. That didn't occur either, but we did see a bit of a drop to the downside in both of those. So it took 24 pips out on the Dow, 15 pips out on gold. But just a bit of an explanation there. You know, both of the markets trading at a high. Both of the markets struggling at those levels, wasn't any great momentum to the upside, and so just looking for a correction in one or other, or ideally both, for those who haven't seen that sort of trade in the past. So just going back to the week, 1,091 pips up to the good at the moment. I obviously do have 3 trades open now. There is a Dow trade that is open as well at the moment to the sell side. which is just triggered. So I'll close those out during the remainder of the day. But it's been a fantastic month. Hopefully you've all enjoyed it. Hopefully you've also been successful and seen some profit. There have been a couple of hairy moments, a couple of Mondays I think that were traditionally the bad days. It's been a quiet day today, but you know, I'm feeling a little bit tired myself and don't necessarily want to be doing too much and taking on too much risk. The one trade that I will be monitoring a lot is that gold trade, and hopefully be in a situation to unwind that at slightly better levels during the course of the day. The Dow and the DAX trades as we finish up here are slightly against me. 40 pips on the Dow, a little bit less on the DAX trade. But as I said, I'll continue to monitor those during the course of the day. If you do have questions, please send them in to me. I did have a bit of an internet problem yesterday, which we managed to resolve as we headed into the close. But the markets are reasonably strong as we finish up here. Hopefully they turn around and have a move to the downside pretty much in all of them, as my position would want. But it's been a good week. No complaints from my side in that regard. Hopefully none from yours. And I'll just continue to monitor and unwind these trades during the course of the afternoon. But like I said, if you do have questions, please do send them through and I will answer them over the course of the weekend. Thank you very much for joining me this afternoon, and we'll speak again next week, and I'll